I moved into the apartment in late October. It wasn't anything special, just a small place above a bakery, old building, cheap rent, close enough to work. The only thing I noticed during the showing was the mezuzah still fixed to the doorframe. I asked the landlord if the previous tenant had left it behind. He just said, "Yeah, they moved out fast." I didn't think much of it at the time. The apartment was older than it looked from outside. Wood floors that creaked in certain spots, radiators that knocked at night, walls thin enough that you could hear the bakery ovens start before sunrise. The mezuzah stayed on the door. I figured it wasn't my place to remove it, and honestly, I didn't really know what to do with it anyway. The first week was completely normal. The first strange thing was the smell. Not constant, just sometimes. Like something old, slightly sour, almost like damp paper or burnt oil. It would show up for a few seconds and disappear. I assumed it was the bakery downstairs. A few nights later, I started noticing something else. The front door would make a soft tapping sound. Not knocking. More like something lightly brushing it from the inside. At first, I thought it was just wood expanding from heat. But it always happened around the same time. Just after midnight. One night when it happened, I checked the door. Nothing there. But the mezuzah case was slightly tilted. I was sure it hadn't been like that before. I straightened it and went back to bed. The next morning, it was crooked again. A few days later, I ran into the older woman from downstairs. When I mentioned the previous tenant, she asked, "Did they leave the mezuzah?" I said, "Yeah." She didn't smile or react the way people usually do in small talk. She just nodded slowly and said, "They tried to remove it once." I asked why. She said, "They thought something in the apartment didn't like it." After that, the tapping at the door started happening earlier. Then louder. Then not just at the door, sometimes from the walls, sometimes from the kitchen cabinets. It wasn't violent, just persistent, like something trying to get attention. One night, I finally took the mezuzah down to look at it properly. The parchment inside was older than I expected. And there was writing on the back, not printed, handwritten. I took a photo and showed it to a friend who studies Hebrew. He called me back immediately and asked where I got it. I told him it came with the apartment. He said, "It's not a normal inscription." So I asked what it meant. He said, "It's a name." He explained that in some traditions, when someone dies in distress, people sometimes add prayers or names to the mezuzot as a form of protection. I asked whose name it was. He said he wasn't sure, but the wording suggested it was meant to keep something out, or keep something contained. That night, the tapping didn't stop. It went on for hours. Not loud, just constant. Like fingernails lightly brushing wood. I put the mezuzah back, exactly where it had been. The tap-in stopped within minutes. I stayed there for another month. Nothing dramatic happened after that. But I never removed it again. When I moved out, I left it exactly where it was. The landlord didn't mention it when I handed over the keys. But as I was leaving, he said, "Most people don't stay long in that unit." I didn't ask why. Some things are easier not to know.